You're sitting there thinking you need everything lined up. The money right, the connections in place, your mindset perfect, your confidence at 100. Before you make your move, you're telling yourself, let me just get a little more clarity. Or I'll do once I feel more ready. Nah, that's the trap. That's the lie that's keeping you exactly where you are. I need you to understand something real simple but real powerful. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a move. Some of you are over planning, over researching, overthinking your way right out of your desk. You got passion. You've got passion. You've even got the hunger. But the problem is you're trying to eliminate risk before you act. You want to see the whole staircase before you take the first step. Let me tell you, life don't work like that. Faith doesn't work like that. Success doesn't work like that. There's no such thing as certainty on the front end. The certainty comes after the courage. The clarity comes after the commitment. Not before. You think the greats had it all figured out before they made their move. You think purpose waits for permission. No. Purpose meets you in motion. Not when you're sitting around trying to map out every detail, but when you make a decision that says, I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of dreaming about it. It's time to be about it. That one bold step, it don't have to be flashy, it don't have to be loud, but it does have to be real. It has to be decisive. It has to come from that deep place inside of you where you know you were built for more. Because listen, nothing changes until you move. Nothing shifts until you decide to act. You want a new story. You want a new chapter. Then you've got to put down the pen of hesitation and pick up the pen of boldness. You've got to make a move that scares you and excites you at the same time. You've got to be willing to look foolish for a season so you can live fulfilled for a lifetime. The problem is you keep thinking bold means reckless. You keep thinking bold means uncalculated. No, bold means decisive. It means acting with courage in the face of uncertainty. It means saying, I might fall, I might fail, but I'm stepping anyway. Because even if you fall, at least you're falling forward. At least you're moving. At least you're learning. At least you're not stuck in the same tired cycle of wishing and waiting and wondering. I see too many people with the potential to change the game stuck behind a wall of perfectionism. Stuck in their heads. Stuck thinking they need another course, another mentor, another sign from the universe. Let me help you out. The sign is the desire. The sign is that restlessness in your spirit. The sign is that voice that keeps whispering. There's more in you. You don't need another confirmation. You need confrontation, a moment where you face yourself and say, I'm not going to let fear make my decisions anymore. Hello. I'm not saying be careless. I'm not saying ignore wisdom. But some of you have used the preparing as a disguise for procrastination. You've convinced yourself that you're being responsible, but really you're just scared. And it's okay to be scared. It's human. But fear doesn't get to drive. Fear doesn't get the final vote. Boldness does. And sometimes that bold move isn't even external. Sometimes it's internal. Sometimes the boldest thing you can do is forgive someone who never apologized. Sometimes it's walking away from something that's comfortable but killing you. Sometimes it's starting something new and nobody believes in it but you. Sometimes it's raising your hand, speaking your truth, taking the meeting, applying anyway, going alone if you have to. That's the bold step I'm talking about. That's the decision that shifts everything. You're waiting for the crowd to cheer before you leap. That's backwards. You're waiting for validation before you act. That's a setup for stagnation. The crowd doesn't cheer the unknown. The crowd cheers the results. So you got to be willing to move when it's quiet, when it's lonely, when it's just you and the vision, just you and the calling, just you and that crazy, burning belief that there's more for your life than what you're settling for. One bold step can take you from overlooked to undeniable. One bold step can take you from average to exceptional. One bold step can shatter years of doubt, years of insecurity, years of waiting. That's how powerful it is. But you won't know until you take it. You won't feel it until you do it. You won't taste it until you leave. You're trying to write the ending before you even start the story. Stop that. Start with one line. One move. One choice that says, I don't know how it's all going to work out, but I refuse to stay stuck. You want transformation. It doesn't start with the outside. It doesn't start with applause. It starts with that one quiet, bold moment where you choose where you choose to believe that your life isn't over, that your story isn't finished, that your past doesn't define your next. That moment where you stop asking for guarantees and start trusting the process. That's the moment that rewrites everything. Because history ain't made by the hesitant. It's made by the bold. You know what's crazy? Some of you got everything you need to win. The gift is there. The opportunity is within reach. The path is open. But you can't move not because you're not capable, but because you're buried under a pile of excuses. And I'm not talking about the kind of excuses you say out loud. I'm talking about the ones that sit quiet in your mind. The ones you've been rehearsing so long, you've started to believe they're facts. I'm too old. I don't have enough time. What if I fail? I didn't grow up with the right resources. Listen, every excuse you use is a locked door between you and the breakthrough that's already got your name on it. You've been talking yourself out of the very thing you were created for. You've been negotiating with fear. You've been reasoning with doubt. You've been letting your history define your destiny. And that ain't how you get free. That's how you stay stuck. You can't take bold steps while still holding on to safe excuses. You can't walk into your future with a mindset built on fear. I don't care how good your intentions are. If your decisions are rooted in excuses, your life is going nowhere. And here's the hard truth. Excuses feel comfortable because they let you off the hook. They give you a reason to avoid pressure, to stay safe, to delay responsibility. But guess what? They also keep you from growth. They keep you from greatness. They keep you from that next level. Excuses don't protect you. They imprison you. They don't give you peace. They numb your purpose. And every day you let one more excuse live in your mind, you push your breakthrough one more step away. I know some of you are saying, it's not that easy. You don't know what I've been through. You're right, I don't. But I do know that pain is not a permission slip to stay stuck. I do know that the moment you stop making your trauma your truth, you create space for transformation. You've been telling your story through the lens of what happened to you instead of what can happen through you. That changes today. That changes when you look your excuses dead in the face and say, you don't get to run me anymore. Because let's be honest, a lot of y'all aren't failing because you're incapable. You're failing because you're inactive. You're stuck in almost started, almost applied, almost spoke up, almost took the shot, almost changed. And that's what excuses do. They trap you in the land of almost. They make you feel like you're doing something just because you're thinking about doing something. But thinking ain't the same as moving. Dreaming ain't the same as building. Excuses keep you in preparation mode, but never launch mode. And you've been on the runway long enough. It's time to fly. And let's not act like the excuses you're using are even original anymore. You've used the same one for 5 years. Timing isn't right. When will it be? I don't have support. You've had people believe in you, but you brush them off. I'm scared. Of what? Failing. You're already failing if you're not even trying. You're so afraid of what could go wrong. You've forgotten what could go right. You keep telling yourself, I'll start when I'm more confident. But confidence doesn't come first. Courage does. Confidence is the reward for doing it scared. You're waiting on a sign. Let this be your sign. You're waiting for everything to make sense. It won't. And that's okay. Because the truth is, greatness never comes with guarantees. Growth never comes without discomfort. You want to move forward, but you don't want the stretch. You want the reward without the risk. And that's where the enemy lies. In that tension. That place between desire and delay. That's where fear sets up shop. And fear is smart. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It doesn't say, don't chase your dream. It's not yet. It doesn't say, don't go after it. It says, just wait a little longer. But every time you delay, you're strengthening the excuse and weakening the dream. It's one or the other. There comes a moment when you've got to choose your future over your fear. Your calling over your comfort. Your breakthrough over your excuses. You've got to look in the mirror and say, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not playing small. I'm not living in almost. I'm stepping into everything that's mine, even if I have to do it afraid. And once you do that, once you kill the excuses, you unlock the door to a whole new level of life. A level where growth is normal, where effort is expected, where boldness is the baseline. That's where the breakthrough lives. That's where your story starts to change. That's where you start rewriting what's possible. Because the moment you stop letting excuses lead, you start letting purpose lead. You keep waiting for the moment you feel like a different person. Waiting to feel strong, to feel worthy, to feel like the type of person who goes after big things. But let me tell you something real. Identity doesn't shift because you read another book or listen to another podcast. Identity doesn't shift from wishing, it shifts from doing. The moment you act outside of your comfort zone, the second you move when your body says freeze, when your fear says wait, that's the moment your identity starts to change. You keep saying, I'm trying to figure out who I am. You don't find that in a journal. You don't discover hiding behind routine. You find it in that decision to do something different. To show up when it would have been easier to sit back. To say yes when everything in you is screaming no. That's when you start becoming who you really are. Not the version life tried to teach you to settle for, but the version that's been buried under years of fear, insecurity, and second guessing. You've been told your whole life to play it safe, to follow the rules, to avoid failure, to not stand out too much, to not take up too much space. But boldness rewrites all of that. When you take a bold step, you don't just disrupt the routine. You disrupt the lie that you're not enough. The lie that your past defines you. The lie that someone like you can't do something great. And every time you choose boldness over comfort, you send a message to yourself. This is who I am now. Let me be clear. I'm not talking about fake confidence. I'm not talking about acting like you have it all together. I'm talking about that deep internal shift that happens when you know you've done something hard, something scary, something that forced you to stretch. You walk different after that. You carry yourself different. You see the world and yourself through a different lens because you've proven something to yourself. You didn't quit. You didn't run. You showed up. See, too many people are trying to change their lives while still holding on to the same identity. But you can't build a new life with the same old mindset. You can't reach a new level with the same self-image that kept you stuck. And the only way to break that cycle is to act like the person you want to become. Even when it feels unnatural. Even when it feels like you're pretending. Even when nobody around you believes it yet. Because growth feels like pretending until it becomes your reality. And don't get it twisted. That discomfort you feel, that's not a sign you're doing something wrong. That's a sign you're stepping into something new. That's what transformation feels like. You're breaking patterns, shifting gears, stepping into a version of you that's more powerful, more focused, more free. And of course it's going to feel unfamiliar. You've never been here before. But that doesn't mean it's not you. It means you're finally meeting the real you. I'm telling you right now, there is no magic moment when you suddenly wake up with confidence. There is no switch that flips. There is only movement. There is only that decision to do the thing anyway. To raise your head when you normally stay silent. To walk into the room you feel unqualified for. To start the thing before you feel ready. That's where the identity shift happens. Not in theory, in action. The person you want to become. They're already in you, but they don't come alive through passivity. They show up through pressure. They show up when your back is against the wall and you refuse to fold. When you're tired, but you keep going. When you're scared, but you step anyway. That's when something changes in your spirit. That's when you start saying, I'm not who I used to be. I'm not the version that gave up. I'm not the version that let fear decide. I'm the version that moves boldly. I'm the version that builds without applause, fights without backup, believes without evidence. And when that shift happens, when your identity finally aligns with your action, that's when you become dangerous. That's when you stop settling. That's when you stop shrinking. That's when you start walking in rooms with your head high. Not because you're better than anyone, but because you finally know your worth. Because you've done the work. You walked through the fire. You didn't wait to feel ready. You got ready on the journey. But it all starts with that one bold move. That one decision to act in a way that your old self never would have. That's how you break the pattern. That's how you interrupt the story. That's how you prove to yourself that your past doesn't own you, your fear doesn't define you, and your future is still wide open. You start showing up differently, speaking differently, expecting differently. Not because the world changed, but because you did. You don't need more time. You don't need more reassurance. You don't need more people believing you. What you need is a shift that starts in action, a shift that says, I'm done playing the background in my own life. I'm done waiting for permission to be powerful. I'm done watching others do what I know I'm capable of. You take that bold step and your identity catches up with your courage. Your story starts sounding different because your choices are different. The fear doesn't disappear, but it doesn't run the show anymore. You do. Because every time you act outside your comfort, you rewrite who you are. I get it. You're scared. Scared of what it's going to cost you. Scared of the sacrifice. Scared of what people will say. Scared of the weight that comes with taking a bold step. And I won't lie to you. It will cost you something. It's going to stretch you. It's going to disrupt your routine. It's going to challenge every lazy excuse you've been living with. But let me ask you something. What's the price of staying stuck? What's the cost of playing small for the rest of your life? See, the bold step will cost you something, but playing it safe will cost you everything. People talk about playing it smart, about being cautious, about waiting for the right moment. But what they don't talk about is how staying comfortable will steal your potential right from under you. You think you're preserving peace by avoiding risk, but what you're really doing is tolerating regret in advance. You think you're protecting yourself, but you're actually sabotaging your future. The discomfort of a bold step lasts for a moment. The pain of missed purpose lingers forever. Let's be real, staying small feels easy at first. No pressure, no failure, no eyes on you. You can blend in, coast, keep things predictable, but deep down, you feel it, that ache, that restlessness, that frustration that comes from knowing you're capable of more, but refusing to act on it. And that's the thing. Comfort becomes the slow death of greatness. It numbs your hunger. It quiets your passion. It trains you to settle. And before you know it, you've lived 10 years in the same place with the same excuses, telling the same story about why it's not the right time. There's no version of success that comes without cost. You can't step into purpose without paying a price. It'll cost you your ego. It'll cost you your comfort zone. It'll cost you some relationships. It might even cost you sleep. But let me tell you what'll give you clarity. Confidence. Power. You think you're losing something when you step out in boldness, but what you're actually doing is making space for the real blessings to find you. Too many people want elevation without release. They want to rise but won't let go of what's weighing them down. They want to grow but still entertain dead habits, dead mindsets, and dead energy. You want new results, but you keep clinging to the same routine that got you nowhere. That bold move you're avoiding. It's the doorway. That tough decision you're delaying. It's the test. The question isn't, can I afford to go for it? The real question is, can I afford not to? Some of you are sitting in seasons that expired years ago, still working a job that drains you, still entertaining people who diminish you, still living in environments that suffocate your purpose. Why? Because it's familiar, because it's predictable, because you've convinced yourself that the known pain is better than unknown possibility. But that's a lie, and it's keeping you average. Playing small might feel safe, but it's not. It's the most dangerous place you can be. Because it robs you slowly, quietly, without a fight. It doesn't destroy you overnight. It kills you in pieces, in missed opportunities and what ifs. In dreams deferred so long they start to rot. Don't you dare let fear make you believe that comfort is free. It's not. It comes with a price tag, and the receipt shows up later. In frustration, in regret, in a life that never quite felt like you. But the bold step, that cost is up front. It demands effort. It demands courage. But what it gives you in return is beyond calculation. It gives you growth. It gives you momentum. It gives you a shot at becoming someone you actually respect when you look in the mirror. And don't let anyone lie to you. Playing small doesn't protect you from pain. It just delays it. You're going to feel pain either way. The pain of discipline or the pain of disappointment. The pain of change or the pain of regret. The pain of failure trying or the pain of never knowing. So pick your pain wisely. Choose the one that leads to something. Choose the one that gives back. Choose the one that takes you somewhere new. Because listen, there is no breakthrough without boldness. You can't tiptoe into transformation. You can't half step into purpose. You can't casually drift into greatness. You've got to decide and then move. And yes, that's going to require you to let some things go. That's going to require you to walk through some fire. But you're not going to burn. You're going to be refined. You're not going to lose. You're going to gain what's real. But only if you're willing to pay the price of growth. Some people want the reward without the risk. They want the outcome without the obedience. They want the glory without the grind. But purpose don't work like that. Destiny don't work like that. You've got to go through to get to it. And that bold step, that uncomfortable move you keep avoiding, that's the door. Not a shortcut, not a side road, the door. And if you won't walk through it, don't be surprised when nothing changes. You've got to want your future more than you want your familiar. You've got to want your purpose more than your pride. You've got to want your calling more than your comfort. Because nobody rewrites their story by staying safe. Nobody changes their life by playing small. You don't get power by waiting. You don't get peace by avoiding. You don't get purpose by hiding. You get it by deciding, by moving, by standing up and saying, I know it's going to cost me something, but the cost of not going is too high. Because the bold step might stretch you, but the safe life will slowly destroy you.